What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going through how to make a beat for the collaborative album out of Dreamville, Revenge of the Dreamers 3. There's been a lot of hype going on in the new year of 2019 about this album. Pretty much everybody in both the artist realm and the producer realm has been invited to these sessions, and J. Cole announced last night via Twitter that the sessions are completed. Um, which leaves us waiting for the album to be released. Um, this is just a basic Dreamville style beat. Something that somebody like Boss, J. Cole, obviously, Cozz could hop on, JID possibly. Um, so I'm going to be breaking it down, how I made this style beat. This may be a longer tutorial simply because of the complexity and the style um, of a beat that we are making. However, I feel like you guys are going to learn a little bit, and it will be worth your time to watch. So the first thing that we did is we found a sample. Um, first let me just go through the structure. The structure of this beat, um, it was designed for three artists to be able to hop on the same song at one time. We have our intro lead-in, and then we have breaks between verses. There is no true hook here. As these artists will typically steer clear of having a hook. These are rappers that just kind of are old school and will just go from verse to verse without really having that part of the song that like sticks in their head per se, as they are more interested in the lyric part of the game. So that's what we were aiming for, structure wise and arrangement wise. One verse, two verse, three verse, and then an outro. So we found this sample. It was from a song called Wherever You Are by a guy named Isaac Hayes from the 1980s. And I will play out the sample for you guys so you guys can hear what it sounds like previously. So y'all can get the idea of how that sounds, and then after I found the sample, I went through into SliceX and I just chopped it up pretty much on the beats that I wanted to use, and then I just went to the MIDI keyboard and I played out chops, and then I just recorded them as so. After that, I went through and I recorded that and I put it into this sample where I would then change the pitch and time stretch it, and we ended up with something that goes like this. So for the most part, the sample remains the same. However, we did speed it up and change some of the notes at the time that they play with the arrangement of that. After we had the sample, I layered through this vinyl static, which you probably can't even hear, but it just adds that little extra elements to the beat that will go unnoticed. However, they're noticeable without them. For the sample, it was just basic cueing, reverb right here. Brought up some of the high end, so it sounded older, more vintage, and that's where the vinyl kind of really cut through in the mix. And then we moved on to the drums, and the drums for these type of beats are different than just your regular trap music, obviously with the boom bap style that they go with. So typically, you see that J. Cole or whoever will usually sample a drum break. And I was going to do that for this beat, and I still kind of did. I'll explain it in a minute. Let me just find where I got this sample from. Give me a minute, folks. We're looking for a sample. Drum loops, here we go. So I took this drum loop from a song, I forget who it's by, but it's called Ain't Got It Like That. And the drums sound like this. pattern stuck with me. I knew it was something that I wanted to use. However, that bass line that comes through right there at the end, it was very hard to filter out, and it lost a lot, um, a lot of the sound that I wanted to have. It lost it when I tried to filter out that bass line. So what I did was I found my own drums. I just recreated the pattern with some slight differences. I used 2 kicks. We have a snare, a hat, and 2 open hats. And I will play out the drum break for you guys right now. So that was the drum break that I ended up using, and again, that was what I based that drum sample off of. And then again, for the drums, I mean, it was just adding reverb, EQing things to make them sound more vintage, a little bit older, but still being crisp. The kicks, obviously this kick right here is really punchy, and this kick right here is a little bit lighter. However, the way that I had them playing back and forth with each other created this really unique bounce that I thought was very interesting, and I thought it played well with the sample. So after the drums, there needed to be a bass line, and with these type beats, you're not going to find a very highly distorted bass line like you would in some other trap music. Like, you're not going to add a Spins 808 or a Metro Boomin style 808, you know, like some 808 Mafia type stuff. So the 808 that I added was just real clean for you guys, and it was just a good solid bass line that comes in and it lays right under the sample, and you know, it goes with the drums real nice. So we added a little bit of effects to it, using Camel Crusher for some compression, as well as EQing out some of the highs and the lows, and then I added a controller to that as well, just so it's not overpowering the kicks, because the kicks hit quite frequently. So let me play out the pattern that I have for you guys, and then I will play this along with the sample. And I went through and I went to the envelope here, and I just made it so it would play as long as the note was dragged out for, just so there wouldn't be any extra bass playing at the end of here. You hear it cuts off right there instead of carrying into the next bar. With the 808 also, you have to go and make sure that it was in key. To do that, we just open it up, hit right click, edit. If it'll load here. We go down to detect pitch regions, and it'll tell us that we are in G sharp. We come back to the parameter envelope and we right click on G sharp, and that is how we tuned our 808 for this song, as well as any other song. Make sure that your 808s are in tune. And after that, the beat was pretty much finished. All that was left was just arranging it, like I talked about earlier. You know, for the type of album that we were creating, we knew that there would be multiple artists that were hopping on this song. We know that they don't typically do hooks, or a lengthy hook anyway. I mean, you could put a hook right here. This is more of a transition part. However, it's up to the artist how they want to do it. And then one last thing that we added was a gross beat at the very end of the beat. The slow triplet preset, which can be found under the momentary tab in gross beat. That simply just acts as an outro. And I like the way that the drums kind of, they were like kind of skippy at the very end here, so I'll let you guys hear it. We just faded out the regular ungross beated part of the song, and then we just added this ending here. It just adds that little something extra, a little something different to the beat. So that is pretty much it for this. It's a lot of sample work with both the melody and the drums. Like I said, typically you'll get a sampled melody as well as a sampled drum break. Not always, but it's very typical. So if you're looking to make these kind of beats, you're going to want to look for some old vintage samples, do a lot of EQing to give that sound that you're looking for. Follow some of the techniques that I spoke about with arrangement, as well as the mixing of your samples and your drums, and apply that to your own workflow. Hope you guys learned something today. Hope you guys enjoyed this beat. I'll probably be uploading it to my channel, just the full song itself, within a couple days here, so you guys can hear what that sounds like. As always, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and if you have not subscribed and liked this video already, make sure you do that as well. We'll see you next time, guys.